Hello and welcome back to my channel. In one of my previous videos, I mentioned that social media is a breeding ground for cowards and Twitter is the best example. Today I want to talk about the feeling of fear and its relationship to cowardice. Even from the statement you could guess that fear and cowardice are not the same. Let's start with fear. In general, if not always, we are afraid of the unknown. If we know something, we know how to react to it. Our response system is well established, and there are three responses to fear: fight, flight, or play dead. But our everyday fears are almost always of unknown. I am afraid that if I don't do this, this will happen. I'm afraid if I do this, that might happen. I am afraid that I won't be able to handle. I'm afraid that I will not reach. I'm afraid of the potential of something, etc., etc. In some sense, that is pure madness. You're afraid of something that doesn't even exist. One might say, well, being afraid of the wild animals, natural disaster, is not madness. But you see, you're not afraid of that specific. You're afraid of the potential of what might bring you. Once it happens, you have to choose, and in some cases very quickly. There are two types of fear: internal and external. External fear is of, you guessed it, external factors. The fear of bear, tornado, parent, professor, your boss. The fear looks at the world from the inside. That fear stays outside of your bubble and protects you. The expression of this type of fear are: the world is hostile, nobody likes me, I'm incapable of, blah blah blah. The internal fear is the exact opposite. This fear protects the world from you. You might damage others by your words. You might disappoint somebody by your actions. The typical expression: I'm not enough. I'm not worthy of this world. This world is better without my involvement. Now, what about cowardice? Isn't cowardice just a state of being afraid? Well, no. When you're afraid, you might be preparing yourself for the action. That is a survival instinct. Cowardice is an act of inaction, in most cases when you are capable of doing something. Let's look at this scenario. If you're walking home late at night, in the dark alley, you're being approached by shadows, figures of the larger person. Your brain analyzes the situation. If your analysis concludes higher chances of winning the potential confrontation, your feeling of fear will prep you for the fight. Otherwise, you run for the flight. Regardless of your size, your physical ability, all of those are irrelevant. The analysis is based on your perception of your ability. You might stop, turn around, run away, but all of this is based on that analysis. Now imagine another situation. You're walking down the street in your neighborhood and witness this scene. A small group of teenagers are harassing a local market owner who is clearly struggling defending their own shop. You are not in danger. There is nothing for you to be afraid of. But you sense some sort of injustice. You feel that it's not right. Your righteousness instinct tells you you gotta do something. Now what can you do? Well, that depends. You see, your brain imagines the different scenarios and quickly analyzes potential outcomes. You can intervene if your analysis concludes you can take on these teenagers with higher chances of survival, but it literally is survival of winning the verbal or physical confrontation. You can passively intervene by notifying the authorities. And then there are extremes. One is to intervene actively regardless of the chances of the outcome, or rather, despite the low or minuscule chances of survival. That is bravery. Or just continue to walk. Turn your head away, wish you never saw the scenes, and you guessed it, that is cowardice. Cowards will not only avoid confrontation, but they will avoid the potential analysis. In some cases, they will actively avoid that analysis. They could film that scene, take a picture, put it on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, and later blame some third-party factors: government, police, schools, parents, society, neighbors, and everybody they can think of. Same happens online. I mentioned that Twitter is the perfect place for such behavior. Take a look at the typical profile of such individuals. They will hide behind nickname, in some cases something virtue signaling like concerned individual, warrior, fighter. Their profile pic and all the media they post will never show their real world identity. Twitter also limits the length of the response. It's not a platform for discussion. They need space for statements and counterarguments. It is so convenient to hide behind the wall and throw stone and pebbles, like certain types of monkeys who throw their feces. One can sense there gotta be a connection between cowardice and a fear of feeling. So what is it? The cowardice relates closer to the internal fear. The internal fear revolves around weakness. The cowardice is reenactment of that. The expression of your weak core, weak beliefs, or the lack of it. The acts of cowardice could be expressed as meaningless comments, this new term of gaslighting, shaming, and picking on. The best illustration of cowardice is bullying in society. Along the streets, Big Elephant was led to show him off most likely. Since elephants are not a common thing to see, a crowd of gapers followed on his heels. All of a sudden, Puck springs up in front of them, and seeing Elephant, it raises a great rumpus. It lunges, barks, and howls, and goes its best to pick a quarrel. "Hey neighbor, stop the fuss," a mutt intones. "You deal with Elephant? Look at you barking yourself hoarse." And he just strolls nonplussed, and doesn't care one bit about your noise. "Ho ho," Puck says, "that's just what I enjoy. Since I can be a real tough guy without a single blow or bruise. That way, the other dogs will say, to bark at Elephant, this pug must be a real strong mug." Thank you for watching to the end. As always, please comment below. Feel free to subscribe. Until next time.